What is up, YouTube? Team Dreadnaught here with Brandon, Mike, and myself.
We're missing Dark Lord.
We are missing Dark Lord, unfortunately, for today's video.
Because he made a fag!
Yeah,
Kidding, we love you, Zach.
Otherwise, his card would also be represented here in glorious almost SP. But we picked our clans, basically our main clans of BT17, which we're going to go over today, which was just released today in Japan, which is BT Set 17 Blazing Perdition.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Oh. Supported 8 clans. The most they've supported in a single clan, most supported in a single set since set 1.
Set 9. So 16 had 8 clans too.
No, 16 had 6.
No. Set 9 had 11. That doesn't count. I don't count the other 2.
Yeah, but like 4 of them had like 1 card in them. Age of Empire had 5 cards.
Still support. Hey, you got Metatron in set 9.
That's Griffin and Stones, I'm not gonna lie. Regardless, it supports 8 clans. We have Gold Paladin, Link Joker, Kagero, Aqua Force, Grand Blue, Tachikaze, kind of Royal Paladins, and kind of Murakami. So yeah.
Oh, rightfulness, they should not have gotten support this set.
Once again, Legion Rares made it into this set, but now there are 2 sets of Legion Rares. So, once again, they have the Legion Rares the same as the last set. They are guaranteed 1 per case. You don't know where they're in one of the boxes somewhere. It replaces the rare and the trigger in it, and each case is supposed to have 1 set of Legion Rares. So either you get the Legion and the mate of one of them, or the Legion and the mate of the other one. And we'll get to which ones they are. This set was just released today in Japan, August 8th. And it continues on Season 4. It continues on...
He was the dot.
Multiple player's choice, what up? And it once again supports the Legion mechanic. This followed the trial decks of Gold Paladin and Link Joker. For Gold Paladin, the big card in it, which is worthy of noting, is Bluish Flame Liberator Percival, whose effect was when you perform Legion with Liberator of Oath Agavale. You can search the top 3 cards of your deck.
We already discussed this. We already discussed them.
Did we?
Yeah.
Alright, okay, we did. But basically, you just need to know that Agavale is in the trial decks, because Agavale is not in this set, even though he has a Legion that requires him. Only requires him. So yeah, we'll get right into it with BT17-001, the first card in the set, Gold Paladin, Bluish Flame Liberator, Prominence Core. Gold Paladin card, Legions with Agavale. His Legion effect is, you can counterblast 1 and choose one of your... Oh no. Yeah, that's Legion ability. When he's in Legion, you can counterblast 1.
No.
His Legion ability is... Oh, it is flipped. I'm thinking of his Legion ability is, as long as he's in Legion, whenever a unit is called from the top of your deck to a rearguard circle, if it shares the same name as something on Vanguard, meaning Prominence Core and Agavale, he gains plus 3,000 and a crit until end of turn. And this is stackable. If you keep calling them, he keeps getting the power. And his other effect is, it doesn't need to be in Legion, is you can counterblast 1 and choose one of your rearguards and retire it. Then look at the top 4, search for up to 1 card with Liberator in its name, call it to an open rearguard. Or no, just call it 2 rearguard, it has to be open. And then the other 3, all the other cards you put on the bottom in any order, and you can only use this effect once per turn. And for those who don't remember, Agavale is a 9k grade 2, who, whenever he's called to rearguard from your hand or deck or from anywhere, whenever he's called, you can counterblast 1, search the top 3, call any Liberator from among them, and put the others on the bottom in any order. And this is...
Agavale has to call it open rearguard.
Agavale has to call it open rearguard. And this is one of the Legion rare pairs, Prominence Core and Agavale. And we'll turn it over to the Gold Paladin player.
Alright, I'm loving this guy.
To discuss
this guy. I'm loving this guy. His dedicated crit ability, because it's stackable, is what makes him good. His second ability allows you to fuel Legion before you even Legion. Agavale is an amazing mate, as it can call another one after it. It's really the support. It's one of those cards that needs its deck. If it was not Liberator, it would be like the worst card in the game. But luckily, its subclaim is Liberator due to like physical force and catch gold each cycle through your deck until you can call one.
Yes, motherfucker.
Josephus allows you to draw extra cards, and his counterblast, the sack one, can even facilitate to call another one. This decorated crib with Mayrains and stuff is real sweet because it allows you to have like a high power attacking column in every single row. And he's an 11k in rear guard, like 11k vanilla, with a Mayrain that's 21. And nothing is cross-shredded in the set except for fucking Knuckle Buster.
It also copies because, like I said, Catch Goal, that's a new stand trigger in this set, that whenever it's called from the top of the deck to rear guard, it's a stand trigger, like I said. Whenever it's called from the top to rear guard, you can put it to the bottom of your deck, then check top 3, call any Liberator from the top 3, and then...
Besides Catch Goal.
Besides any card called Catch Goal, so you can't loop them.
I wish.
And then put them on the bottom, and then shuffle your deck. This way the Catch Goal on the bottom actually goes somewhere. So that also allows you to reset any triggers you had to put on the bottom from using other things. And it also combos with a rare they got in this set called Liberator Lawful Trumpeter, whose effect is whenever your Vanguard performs Legion, you can check the top 3 to call any Liberator from them, put everything else on the bottom. It just they
got a lot of cycling.
The card by itself, like Mike said, would not be that good, but they basically gave it every tool possible to make it as playable and as consistent as possible, which turned it into a very, very, very potent deck. Because the only things that require Counterblast really are Prominence Core and...
But to be really, really honest...
It's Prominence Core and Aggro Volley.
They had to give it the consistency. If they didn't, the deck would have just been too bad.
It's almost too consistent. Like, I still think Lawful Trumpeter might have needed a cost, but I can see why they didn't. See, that whole random thing needs to go hell away. I'm so tired of people saying that's the cost of Gold Paladins. It worked back when it was just the top card. Now they're Musketeers, where the randomness is kind of diminished, because now you have multiple chances to hit a card that is usable rather than just triggers and perfect shields.
Also, if you call a trigger from Gold Paladin, Procore kills it. It gives you a different unit.
Yeah, it's another thing. The card's really good. Its beginning price right now in Japan isn't that high, but...
Only because the set's like, holy hell.
Yeah.
Mass printed, and they still ran out.
Yeah, this is definitely one of the sets. This is definitely one of the sets where they've actually given us... All the triple rares are actually very playable, and nothing's like extremely broken out of everything.
It's a fair set.
Like, there's no... This is the first set where like there's no restander, and Bushiroad's actually learned their lesson. Nothing prevents guarding. Finally, like...
Kudos.
Yeah, like, at least Bushiroad finally listened that we hate things that say you can't use this type of things to guard.
Wait, guys, not a fair set. I have my 12k basic.
That's what Mike would say.
I know
Mike
that.
hates that
I was
card
waiting
so
for him to
much.
say it.
But yeah, that's Prominence Core. It's a very, very good card. Don't let it fool you. I know it doesn't do much on the card itself, but the clan makes it very playable, very consistent. And even with Percival, you just have so many ways, because of also Josephus, to Soul Blast things out, re-Legion, put things back in the deck. It's a very consistent looping clan. If you remember what Musketeers did in BT17, this is about the same thing.
A little bit better.
A little bit stronger, but it's a little more It's a little more costly, but it does roughly the same thing. It thins the deck of triggers. It puts stuff back that you want that aren't triggers, or even triggers, and it just gives you really high columns. So yeah. Up next is another Gold Paladin card. We have Autumn Rain Liberator Coil. Now again, this card's playable. It's just not going to see play because Prominence Core exists, which is this card's biggest problem. Like, I like it as a card. It's not bad.
It's a really good card.
Yeah. It legions with a card called Evening Rain Liberator Trahearn. Or Trahern, whatever the hell. Weird ass name. It's basically Bagpipe Angel, but it gives +3 instead of +2.
Your Vanguard has to be in Legion.
Which your Vanguard has to be in Legion. Which isn't terrible. That card came as a promo in the starter set.
Did it?
Yeah. It's a triple rare promo in the starter set. But regardless, his effect is you can counterblast 2 and choose one card with the same name as a unit on your Vanguard and discard it. So Persona Blast, basically. Either Coil or Trahern. And then when you do that, you can look at the top 4 cards of your deck as long as you're in Legion. Choose 2 of them, call them separate rear guards, and then those units gain +5. The other cards go to the bottom in any order. So it's basically like Margot, but instead of killing a rear guard, you discard a card from your hand. essentially, and then they gain +5. So, and whenever he attacks the Vanguard, so the end of the turn he gains +2. So he's at 22 by himself. So he hits normal units. The card's not bad. Obviously, counterblast 2. When gold powers don't really have any good reliable ways of unflipping damage, but
You basically just like your grade 2 out for this deck. If you decide to play the Balin deck, which I wouldn't, would basically be 4 of his mate. You wouldn't play Agravall in this deck. You play more lawful trumpeters and 12 attackers.
Yeah,
this deck is basically about spamming the field without wasting hand.
yeah,
Pretty much.
This is basically the deck you want to play with whenever we get it.
Globros.
Yeah, what's it? The Steel Spear or Gold Spear?
Steel Liberator, Globus.
Yeah, Steel Spear Liberator Globros. He's
His
a
name
break.
is so fun to say.
He's a break ride from Fire Clutch 2013. I don't know when we get it. And also, this is the new Liberator Legion deck that you want to play Balins and Blaster Blades in. Not so much for the retiring ability, but because of the ability to unflip a lot of damage.
Yeah.
And then if you have like 2 of them, you can obviously just use a free Blaster Blade if you had the ability to. It's not bad. This is where Blaster Blade Liberator would find a new home if he still wants to be played.
He needs extra.
It's not bad. It's not a bad card. It's just like I said, it won't see play because Prominence Core took Liberators and pushed them so far into a different type of playability. Hey, Demon.
Hi.
What are you doing?
Singing.
Stop.
Dead.
Alright, the next card on our list is Perdition Dragon, Pain Laser Dragon. This was Miwa's ace in the show. He legions with a card
He's
called...
smart. He uses his main card.
He legions with a card called Perdition Dragon, Menace Laser Dragon. What Menace Laser does is, whenever he's called to rearguard, as long as you have a Vanguard with Perdition Dragon in its name, you can counterblast 1. Choose 1 card in the same column that he's in and retire it. So basically, if I call a Menace Laser to this column, I can retire this or this. I can't retire anything else over here, but I can retire any card in the same column for counterblast 1, which isn't terrible. It's cheap retiring, obviously, but we've gotten pretty used to that now because of cards like Sky Howl, Blaster Blade Seeker, Blaster Dark Abyss. I mean, you're not going to get much better than them. This card can be about the same, but has a little less utility because of the column restrictions, which is the Perdition Dragon's gimmick, which I kind of hate but kind of understand. They couldn't just give them full field wipes, obviously.
Everybody was thinking Perdition
yeah.
4-6 Dragon is going to be.
Yeah. But that's what Menace Laser does, just kills anything in the same column for a counterblast 1, which is cheap and everything. What Menace Laser's effect is
Pain Laser.
Pain Laser, sorry. The turn whenever he performs Legion, you can counterblast 1. If you do, choose one of your opponent's rearguard columns and retire everything in that column. So it's just a blow up a column for a counterblast 1. Again, pretty strong. It only does that when it Legions though, so it does lack longevity. It's a good 1-turn play, but after that, you better find something else to do real quick.
The secondary is Soul Blast 1 to gain 3 when he attacks.
Yeah, his other effect is whenever he attacks the Vanguard, you can Soul Blast 1 to gain +3, which can help facilitate extra Legions. Get rid of cards that you rode earlier that you want out, so you can Legion put them back in the deck. It's a great card. I don't think it needed to be a triple rare, but I understand why it is. Yeah, it's a really great card. If you want to play straight Perdition Dragons, Pain Laser is obviously the card you want to play a lot, and ride a lot, so you can get his effect multiple times. It combos really well with a rare in this set called Perdition Battler Mariko, who's a grade 1 rare, or no, grade 1 common. It's a 7K. Its effect is that whenever a unit is retired in the same column that it's in, you can Soul Blast 1 to unflip a damage.
That's a fucking common?
Yeah.
Oh,
So if you're in the same column and you counterblast 1 to retire 2 units, you can Soul Blast 2 to unflip 2. This gave Perdition Dragons a lot of variance so they can play other cards. Because they really needed something because they got rid of the power plays that Kagura does instead of making them just really cheap.
They got rid of their restand and made the retiring
That is what they're meant to do.
For all the talk Kai has been saying about teamwork and everything like that, he's once again playing a deck that's completely Vanguard dependent.
He always did Vanguard dependent decks.
I know, but all his trash talk about Aichi's my mate and I'm going to be friends with everyone, he's still playing.
Well, technically it's a teamwork deck. You have a Legion mate. That's a team right there.
That's not a team.
That's
That's him in his hand. But yeah, that's what Pain Laser's a good card. Don't be fooled. I know it's just an on Legion ability for a triple rare, but him and his mate are actually really good cards. The funny thing is, I don't think they're that much playable with the boss of the card. They're more playable with a promo.
Claws Vial.
Claws Vial Dragon, which comes out in monthly Bushy. I don't know when we're going to get them over here in
Probably
America.
getting a promo pack or
We
something.
don't know when we get them here in America, but It's a good card. It's basically the same thing as Pain Laser, but instead of when it legions, it's whenever it drive. Instead of when it legions, it's whenever it drive checks. Whenever persona drive checks, you can counterblast 1 to retire a whole column. And that's what you want to play with Pain Laser. You don't want to play this with the card we're going to get to in just a second, just because that card you really need to build around for its effect to really impact the board the way you want to. And the next card is the one that caused a whole lot of controversy when it was first shown. But through testing, it's been proven not to be nearly as strong as we thought. Still good.
Still good. Still powerful.
Still good, but nowhere near as meta-breaking as people thought it was going to be. And that is the other Legion rare duo in the set, and that's Perdition Dragon Vortex Dragonute, Kai's ace card. It legions with a card called Perdition Dragon Whirlwind Dragon, which is the Perdition Dragon 12k attacker. So they actually have a 12k attacker you can get Legion rare, which is pretty nice.
Yeah.
But what Vortex Dragonute's ability is, first off, its effect is Counterblast 2 and Persona Blast, which means choose a Dragonute or a Whirlwind Dragon from your hand and discard it. So Counterblast 2 and discard. If you select units in Legion, you can choose up to 2 of your opponent's grade 2 or less rearguards and retire them.
Yes, Kai cheated in the show.
So pretty much just a pretty standard ability there, but it doesn't end there. Then if your opponent's cards in their damage zone is 4 or less, choose one of your opponent's Vanguard, I don't know why they say that, and deal them 1 damage, and during that damage check only, not the rest of the turn, that damage check only, if it's a trigger, it's nullified. Right, so if it deals you with damage and the top card is a draw, it's negated. You don't draw a card, nothing gains +5. So yeah, it's Counterblast 2, Persona Blast for kill. It's Counterblast 2, Persona Blast, kill 2 grade 2 or less units and deal your opponent a damage if they're not at 5. And its other ability is during your main phase, whenever one of your opponent's rearguards is put into the drop zone, it gains +3000. So with its effect, it becomes a 26. The problem with this card ultimately is that the rearguards in Perdition Dragons are not good. They're just not. A lot of them have really weird effects.
Hey, Claws Vials Legion base of stones.
No, it's not.
Nazal's okay, but it requires a lot of their rearguards require setup. It's a very reactive deck. If you can just run over them or control them by not playing that many rearguards, Perdition Dragons really don't do that much. They really rely a lot on the damaging ability of Dragonute. And a lot of people were real pissed off about this card because they were really angry that it took away the uniqueness of Drag Ruler. But Drag Ruler still proves hand down why it's a little better, and as it constantly gains 10k every time you use it, and you can do it multiple times. Yeah, the best way to play this card that people have been doing right now is to break ride this thing over Dauntless. Using the Limit Break enablers from the set, which we'll get to shortly. It basically makes it to where all your Legion Break abilities, and Dr. O has confirmed, and Busher has confirmed, that they do work with break rides.
Here's one question that I'm wondering. You ride, let's say you break ride Ashley or something over Tilda. Over Ashley. You have Tilda field. You also you call the Limit Break enabler. Is that what the break ride will activate?
No, if it wasn't on the field.
Yeah, the break ride won't activate, but you can still use Ashley though. Or Ashley reverse. Yeah, the Limit Break enablers do work with break rides, which is something a lot of people were wondering if it worked that way. And even if it didn't, you can still just sit on Dauntless for a while. Kagero has proved that they can do that for a while. Yeah, Vortex Dragonute is the other Legion rare. It's a really sound card. What's our time on?
We're at 1912.
But it just doesn't really do enough in the meta. People have been testing it a lot, trying to get it to work. Like I said, Dauntless is the best way people have gotten it to work, just because dealing your opponent the damage and then attacking them twice for 36 is kind of a lot. It's really hard to guard that. Especially when you play Nazal, which is Claw Vials Legion Mate, and that is whenever it's called to rearguard, if your opponent has no rearguards in front of it, it gains +5, so it can be a 21k column to make things a little tricky on your opponent. But overall, Vortex Dragonute isn't It's not nearly as meta breaking as people thought it was going to be. Still a good card. It just doesn't work very well on all Christian stuff. And then next off on the list, good thing we restarted the camera, so we have a lot of time for you motherfuckers to talk about this fucking card.
He's gonna be the one that's talking more. I don't care enough.
Up next is the revenge of me yelling about Yggdrasil for half an hour.
Hold on, he's putting all his cards away.
Isn't that my deck?
No, that was his deck.
You sure?
Yeah.
What's in there?
Common score.
Oh, okay. And the next card on this list is Brawler Big Bang Knuckle Buster.
Fine, I don't care enough to talk about it.
More a little bit. Give me room to talk about the guy. The guy needs to be talked about.
Mike said, yeah, it does.
Alright, so first off, before we get into it, this card's real good. It might be overcosted. I'm kidding. Don't throw that, you have to be rapid.
I don't know how to begin to regret
But anyway, this card legions with a card called Brawler Big Bang Slash Buster. They're basically upgraded versions of the ones that we talked about in BT17. Slash Buster is the exact same card as Slash Dragon. However, they changed the requirement of him getting +3 to whenever a Vanguard with Big Bang Knuckle in its name, whenever a Vanguard with Big Bang Knuckle in its name attacks hits instead of a card with just Brawler in its name. So they raised the restriction on what has to hit, but it still gains +3. And its other effect is that as long as you have a Vanguard with Big Bang Knuckle in its card name, it gains +2, sort of like Miranda in the Ashley decks that we saw in BT14. So by itself, when you're on Knuckle, which you always will be, he's an 11k attacker who gains +3 every time a Knuckle hits, which is just really powerful. But Big Bang Knuckle Buster, first off, is a cross ride. He's the first cross ride Legion. So whenever you have a Big Bang Knuckle Dragon in your soul, he's a 13k all the time. So when he attacks, he's a 22 automatically. His effect, on the other hand, is a little bit controversial. His effect is Counterblast 1. Choose one card with Big Bang Knuckle in its name from your hand and put it into your soul. So you can actually
Fix your cross ride.
You can actually cross ride yourself by just putting a regular Knuckle Dragon.
That sounds dirty. You cross ride yourself.
And you basically just put the regular Knuckle Dragon into your soul to immediately give him +2 all the time. Now when you do this, as long as this card is in Legion, he gains power +5,000.
He gains power?
Yeah, you didn't know? He gains 5,000 power.
Yeah, he's a 27 by himself. Whenever he uses this effect.
I never realized he gained power.
Yeah, he always gains power.
Yeah, he always gains power.
He always gains 5k.
All Vermilion effects always gain power. He gains power +5,000, and the effect's continuous.
The rage of the spud.
When choosing a unit to attack, or when choosing a unit to this unit's attack, choose 4 of your opponent's units, and this unit battles every chosen unit in one attack. Now, before we get into Mike over here, let me just clarify some things about this guy's skill, because it actually does matter in certain circumstances. It doesn't say it choose up to 4. If your opponent has 4 or more cards, you have to attack 4 units. If they don't have 4, then you just attack everything, obviously. But you can't choose to attack just 2 of them to maybe take them off, so they can't Legion right away. If they have 4, you hit 4, or you attack 4 of them. It always has to attack 4. And I've also realized that, or I've also found out that this unit's effect cannot be stacked, despite it only not being once per turn. You will get an additional 5, but it will not give you an additional 4 things to attack. If you do it twice, you still only attack 4 units, but he will gain +10,000 instead of just 5. And obviously his skill has great synergy with cards like Arc from last set, and now Slash Buster and Slash Dragon. Because if you attack 4, if all 4 attacks hit, Slash and Slash Buster first off gain +12, and Arc would gain +9 because the 3 rear guards would be retired. And Arc only requires rear guards to be sent to the drop from the field through any means necessary, so long as it's your turn. If you hit 4 rear guards, obviously they'll. You can attack 4 rear guards too. You don't have to attack the Vanguard. And by the way, when you choose, if your opponent has a Legion Vanguard, you cannot choose the Vanguard twice. You only attack the grade 3. The grade 2 is not an attack target. Like, a lot of people were wondering if that's what this card did. People were calling broken, bushy, why'd you do this? Or about ready to burn the building down. Like, if it attacked twice, had to be guarded twice. If it had to be guarded twice, I mean, obviously this card would be tier 0. Nothing would ever fight it, ever.
This game would be dead.
Yeah.
It still is tier 0.
So, that's Knuckle Buster. I love this card a lot. It's why I have Vermilion here. It's the upgrade of Vermilion. This guy can now finally rest in peace. His predecessor has finally arrived.
He's been dead since set 9. He's been resting in peace.
His predecessor has finally reached the battlefield. And that,
you reached it in set 15, set 16.
And that leads us right into Starvader, Imaginary Plane Dragon.
You're not skipping out on Mike's time.
Oh, it's good. Just keep going.
Like, I have nothing really else to say about Knuckle Buster. It's probably pound for pound the strongest card in the set. A lot of people weren't anticipating this card to be as dumb as it was.
I was.
Like, the skill, while it's impressive, is not what makes it broken. It's the fact that it's so cheap. It's just a Counterblast 1 and a Persona charge of one of its grade 3s. You don't have to give up a grade 2 attacker or anything like that. It has some limitations in that it forces you to play no other utility grade 3, and it's one of the few Legion decks to which you don't constantly Legion to recycle triggers and everything. It does have a couple disadvantages, but other than that, the card is just very sound. It just attacks everything. Your units get big power. And
we use a summary of the card's ability. Counterblast 1, put a Big Bang in Soul, rearguard swing billion, and you have no field now. Is an accurate summary of this card.
I wanted goods, and Bushiroad gave me 1.
If you wait, you
and,
enough.
And I'm very happy for it.
Alright, let's go on.
I wanted 1 card to make Brawlers playable. Fuck, they gave me 1.
All you do is bitch and bitch and bitch about Brawlers.
They were terrible in BT17. I had an argument with this. Someone said, no, dude, BT16s, while they weren't that strong, they were good. I said, no. The best BT16 Brawler card came in Fighter's Collection. Shotgun Blow made that card deck playable. He wasn't even in BT16. But that leads us right into now the Link Joker cards. And first off, we have Starvader, Imaginary Plane Dragon, which I'm thoroughly convinced people are completely underestimating. But this guy leads with a card called Flash Gun Starvader Osmium. His effect is whenever his attack hits the Vanguard, you can choose one of your opponent's locked units and Omega Lock it. Pretty strong, pretty powerful. Obviously it doesn't do much if it's just a 16 column, so you guard it for 10. It doesn't do very much, you have to have a locked unit and everything like that, but Imaginary Plane makes sure that happens. Imaginary Plane's ability is you can Counterblast 2. That's all it is, just Counterblast 2. If this unit's in Legion, choose up to one of your opponent's rearguards for each of your units with Starvader in its card name in the center column and lock it. Which means if you're in Legion, there's 2 cards. You basically can lock any 2 cards. If you have a booster behind your Vanguard, you can lock any 3 cards. So it's a triangle lock for Counterblast 2. If you have a booster, which is no reason why you shouldn't when you want to play this card. And its other effect is whenever it attacks the Vanguard, it gets power plus 2,000. So Michael, in substitute for the Dark Lord, what is your thoughts on Imaginary
When I
Plane
first
Dragon?
saw this guy, I was not actually at home, so I couldn't throw things. But after a lot of playtesting, this card does win. It can win games due to just advantage, but it's not nearly as good as Link Joker was previously. Because Triangle Lock doesn't really do anything anymore, due to my Vanguard swing like 20, anywhere from upwards of 20.
Yeah. Basically, they made mass locking easier to achieve. They made it locking cheaper, but they got
efficient.
They got rid of the drawing ability,
Yeah.
which is what really did it.
Like, I get my units back sooner or later, and I still have a field then. Like, it's not like anything that retires my field, so I don't really care. It doesn't attack my units.
The problem with this card is that its abilities can kind of snowball out of control because of the Omega Lockers. If just one of them hits, it basically, even though it's Counterblast 2, let's say your opponent can do it 3 times in a row. Let's say they get a heal trigger, they take some damage, and whatnot. You basically have 3 of your turns to where you only have a Vanguard attack. Which means they still have 3 columns to attack you with fully. It can still just be a simple 10k, 10k, and then a 20k 2-pass. Or a 25 2-pass. But that's still 3 full attacks you had to guard. But they only had, or you only have 1 weak Vanguard attack to try and do damage.
You just swing 23, 2 crits, so it doesn't really matter anyway.
And that's really the problem with this card for the most part. It's the fact that the locking is just really strong. It locks too consistently, it locks too efficiently.
If I wasn't so hungry, we'd still be on Knuckle Buster.
Yeah. This man's art is sexy.
I don't think this card is being properly represented. Like, these guys aren't even paying attention right now because they think Link Joker's bad now.
I don't think it's bad. I just don't care.
It's rather mad. Like, don't get me wrong.
What do you want me to do? I'm on happy pills.
Show excitement
It is a decent
or
ability,
show anger.
but
You
like,
can't just wait till your damn card.
we've been testing and stuff. It's not as good. Like, it's a decent card with Garnet Star.
It's not as good as we
Garnet Star
thought.
is free.
I thought it
Yeah,
was
with Garnet Star, it's really powerful. It is one of the few decks that actually can stand up against Knuckle Buster, which is a thing. But yeah, Imaginary Plane Dragon is very good. People don't give it enough credit. I think it's going to be a lot better than people think it is.
I got the next card.
And then we go on to the next. And we go on to the next Star Vader card, which is Star Vader Dark Zodiac, which is a card a lot of us weren't expecting, and it's pretty funny because it's actually really cheap, and yet even me, someone who hates Link Joker with a passion, like this card like doesn't really do anything.
It's so bad.
His Legion mate is Star Vader Astro Reaper, whose effect is that whenever its attack hits the Vanguard, you can counterblast 1 to look at the top 5 cards of your deck, and grab any card named Astro Reaper or Dark Zodiac, pretty much. But what Astro Reaper's skill is, it's counterblast 1. When this unit performs Legion, you may pay the cost. If you do, what Dark Zodiac skill is, counterblast 1. When this unit performs Legion, you may pay the cost. If you do, all of your opponent's locked units cannot be unlocked during your opponent's next end phase. So basically, Omega Lock all their locked units. Now, for an on-Legion ability, that's actually pretty poor. His other effect is, though, you can Persona Blast. In other words, discard a card that shares the same thing on Vanguard. Which is pretty crappy, because that means you only want to use it before you Legion. So you have to discard a Dark Zodiac.
No, you can discard an Astro.
No, because that's to be on Vanguard.
Oh.
If you Legion, you no longer Omega Lock. It's basically discard. It's basically discard a Dark Zodiac.
Legion Omega Lock, then you can discard a card.
Yeah,
it's the ruling. It still falls under Omega Lock.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's right.
And it still falls under Omega Lock.
That's right. It's basically Persona Blast, and then it's basically Garnet Star. Choose a front and a back row and lock them. And his ability cannot be used for the rest of the turn. So once again, in place of Dark Lord,
Alright,
this card is pretty bad.
I thought it was terrible. I still think it's terrible.
It still makes reverse decks unplayable.
Dark Lord himself
Reverse decks aren't a thing anymore.
I know. Actually, they kind of are Limit Break Enablers, but now they're completely unplayable.
has tried to prove me wrong, and he's actually doing a decent job. He's actually built a deck based around him that does quite a bit, actually. Surprisingly,
Yeah.
of course, it would be Dark Lord, Dark.
The best part about
This game.
The best part about Dark Zodiac, it's a different play style than Imaginary Plane. Imaginary Plane just wants to play the Omega Lockers and the guys who gain power. They don't want to play Palladium, the new stand trigger, or the Grade 2 version of Palladium, because they don't do anything and they're too counterblast heavy. This guy, on the other hand, doesn't want the Omega Lockers and would rather have the Palladiums and the Grade 2 and the stand trigger to help keep things locked all the time.
Depends on so locking you.
Yeah, Link Joker got a stand trigger that's a play.
We're not going over every card in the set, right? Just the big cards.
Yeah, just triples, doubles,
Triples, doubles, and
any big name cards that we go through while we're going through.
Zaharias and stuff like that.
Yeah.
The rares.
Yeah, the rare leaders, because now we have those.
So
now.
overrated him, so.
Zaharias?
Yeah, we're going to talk about the rare legions because those are all actually of worth noting. They're the three very good ones.
All right, let's continue.
But yeah, Dark Zodiac is just. It feels weird to see a Lane Joker boss that's like not meta warping, because all of them have pretty much warped the meta other than Nebula Lord. Now it's only because at the time Revengers were just way better.
He was coastal. So is this game.
Like Nebulord was strong. It's just
Sorry,
Revenge.
the new coaster.
Nebulord was strong. It's just Revengers were a thing back then, so we never got to do anything. Yeah, Dark Zodiac's not that good. It's just not. He doesn't do enough. Which is fine because I hate this card. And now the last triple rare. Yeah. Now the last triple rare of the set is Blue Storm Wave Dragon, Tetra Burst Dragon.
Woo!
Surprisingly, not a cross ride, which I still think he should have been.
He's not a Tetra Drive isn't a Blue Storm.
Right, but I understand because Tetra Drive is a different subclan.
Fucking should have been though. He should have been a motherfucking Blue Storm.
Alright, so first off, he legions with a guy called Blue Storm Marine General Starless.
Oh yeah, it's
I can talk about it first.
His effect is Starless's effect is that on rearguard, as long as your Vanguard is in Legion, whenever he attacks for the first time, whenever he attacks first as the first battle of that turn, he gains power +3. He is a 9K. He gains power +3, making him a 12. And then at the end of that battle, you have to switch the positions of him and whatever is in the same column as him. Basically just a better Basil. He attacks
Basil.
Yeah, he's a 9K Basil that gains +3. But the trade-off is your Vanguard has to be in Legion for his effect to be active. So he's not as good as Basil because Basil can be used in the early game to throw a lot of attacks. But this guy's way better in the late game because he actually hits things when Basil usually just does nothing.
I mean late game, dude. I'm Legioning by like turn 4.
But I mean is when a game gets to grade 3s, Basil does nothing. This guy still does something. Unless you're Knucklebuster. Then 13 cases. What's up? Which is why I'm not afraid of this card. I know that's why you're afraid of this card.
Marika, send to the soul. 15 at your Vanguard.
Okay, you better say.
Okay, switch. Attack Vanguard.
They're all dying next turn, bro.
I don't care.
Yeah, you do. You absolutely do. But anyway, that's Starless. What Blue Storm Tetra Burst Dragon does is you can counterblast one whenever he attacks.
You sure you want to talk about Starless?
We'll get to them both in a second. Tetra Burst's effect is whenever he attacks the Vanguard, as long as he's in Legion, you can counterblast one. If you do, if it's the 4th attack when it attacks, he gains power +5,000 and critical +1 to the end of battle. And whenever he attacks the Vanguard, if you have another unit in the center column, which means whether he's either in Legion or he has a booster, he gains power +3. Which means by himself, as long as he's the 4th attack, you can counterblast one. By himself with the Legion, he becomes a 28 2-crit attacking unit, which history has shown that is very powerful. Simply because it's hard to guard not that it's hard to guard something 28, even on Vanguard. When there's an extra critical involved, it gets sketchy. Because if you're at 3 damage, you don't want to have to commit that much. So if you don't have a perfect guard, you'll just say, fine, I'll take it. But if they hit a critical trigger, strong possibility the game is now over.
Like, losing this guy with an AK makes about 36 every round with 2 crits. I'm aware.
Yeah. A lot of people want to play
booster.
A lot of people want to play this with Demetrius, the break ride from Fire Collection 2014, because it becomes really strong. But there's another reason why you want to play something else, because Locke and Knucklebuster kind of wreck this deck apart, which is why a lot of people are going to play another card instead and use this guy as a finisher, which we'll get to later. But yeah, that's Tetra Burst, and my opinion of this guy was, I originally thought he was really bad, and then I kind of thought he was good, and then more testing proved that a 28 2-crit unit is actually kind of good. It's surprising how just hitting you with a lot of power with 2 criticals just kind of like makes your opponent like not like life a lot. But there's something else that doesn't make someone like life a lot, and we'll let him talk about it.
Well, I can talk about this first.
I'm aware, but we'll get the mic.
When I first saw Tetra Burst, I cracked my wall. I threw my TV remote at the wall and cracked it. I was very, very upset. And then I started testing him and I found out this man is the Stones. And there's one card, why is Starless is the fucking goods.
A 12K, like, we got this guy real mad because we said the biggest thing about Aquaforce is their Vanguard gets really cheap, really powerful skills. Simply because even though you have to get to a 4th attack, it's really nice knowing that usually most of the time one of the attacks doesn't hit, which usually made things...
Alright, we have no idea where the camera cut off. I think we were talking about Starless, so we're just going to go from talking about Starless.
We're just talking about Tetra Burst.
Mike, go ahead and bitch about Starless.
Tetra Burst is good, Starless is a better Basil. Mike, what do you feel? How do you feel about Basil? Go off.
The original Basil?
No, go off. I mean, Starless. Go off against Starless.
Starless is way too powerful. I don't care what Aquaforce players try to tell you because they want more goods.
It is the man who plays Genesis, Royal Paladin, and Gold Paladin. If he complains that Bushiroad keeps shafting him.
I don't care, like, I like my cards as is. I
Sure.
just don't
Let's
think
go.
Outforce would be so cheap.
Like meanwhile,
Versus powerful
I'm over here playing. I'm over here playing Kagero, Murakami, Grand Blue, and Angel Feather, and only one of those plans is playable.
Kagero? No Kami?
I said only one. And it's Murakami.
Kagero.
So,
The jury's still out on them right now.
Continue.
Like they went from real powerful because of Rebirth, but
Continue.
yeah, Tetra Burst is a really good card. Don't be confused. Like I know it doesn't look like it does much, but they gave it so many ways of.
We already talked about this. I said this in the last video.
because we don't know where we left off, we're just gonna skip this and go into the doubles
Tetraverse is a good card. Play it. Starless is one of the best grade 2s they printed in this set.
in the game.
The funny about Starless is if you want to play Extreme Rules, I think it's called.
Yeah.
You put Starless. You put Starlesses in other decks. The best one possibly is in Spike Brothers, because even though it doesn't get the plus 10,000 from Bad End Dragon,
Oh, yeah.
he still gets a plus 5 from Bloody Ogre. So the first time he attacks, he's a 17. Then you can switch, then send him to the bottom. Whatever up front, like let's say it's a Reckless Express or a Frozen Ogre. You move the Frozen Ogre up, it's now 24. And now you go up, you have another attack that just does dumb things. Spike Brothers itself does dumb things. Bloody Ogres are retarded.
Frozen Ogre.
Way too strong.
Frozen Ogre.
I keep doing that. I'm like, oh, this is how you play this deck. All right, let's go. I learned. But yeah, that's Tetra Burst. It's a good card. Now I move on to the grade 2. Some of them we've already gone over because some of them are the Legion mates. However, the first one is not though. It's Royal Paladins. It's the Royal Paladins. It's Royal Paladins only. You shut up, you fucking nerd. It's Royal Paladins only. Royal Paladins only foil in this set, and it's a shame that this card's actually kind of good.
No, it's not.
Because it'll never be played because Think Saver exists. And that is Seeker, Purgatory, Breath Dragon. He legions with a card called High Spirit Seeker Silent.
I have no idea.
What does he do?
I have no idea.
What does this thing even do?
Oh, when it fits on rear camera, must want to give you a 4K.
Is it?
Probably.
It's exactly what it is. Okay, Purgatory Breath Dragon legions with a card that says whenever it's placed on rearguard, if your opponent is in Legion, you can pay the cost, which is kind of less 1. If you do, choose one of your other units, and that unit gains power plus 4,000 to the end of turn. And what Purgatory Breath is counterblast 2 cards with Seeker. If this unit is in Legion, you can search the top. You can search the top of your, or you can search your deck for up to 1 card with Seeker in its name. Call it to rearguard, shuffle your deck. Then, if the number of units you have is more than your opponent, you can choose one of the cards in your damage zone and turn it face up. So you cannot use this ability for the rest of the game. So
Rest of the turn.
the rest of the turn. If you have more units than your opponent, it recovers half of its cost for calling a unit. And whenever it attacks the Vanguard, the unit in the same column, it gains power plus 3. Again, it's not a bad card. It really isn't. It's actually pretty good. Like if you wanted to use it with Wingle, it actually goes with Royal Paladin's theme that they were going for with Seekers. But because Think Saver is overly broken, people are only going to play that. So they're going to dedicate all their counterblast to him. So there's no point in this card even existing unless you just have young players who can't afford massive Think Savers. Because you need to play 4 all the time.
All day.
So yeah. After that, we have Liberator of Trax. Asclepius. Maybe. I think. That's what this dumb guy's name is.
He's your Egbert one.
I forget what he legions with.
Fallon.
Oh, he legions with Fallon, the Liberator 12k attacker. This guy is basically Egbert from BT16, but infinitely better.
Like, I'm just really glad that he's finally learning his place. He went from a triple to a double. And I only hope he goes from a double to a rare, then a rare to a common, like he rightfully should be.
From a problem to non-existent.
It's just weird that this card is infinitely better than the Royal Paladin version that came last set. The Royal Paladin one was a triple rare, who gained plus 5 at a crit, and whenever it attacked the Vanguard, gained plus 2 for counterblast 2, and as long as you had more units than your opponent. So it was a 27 2 crit. This one it becomes a 28 2 crit because it also gains plus 5 at crit as long as you counterblast 2, and you have more units than your opponent. But he also gains plus 3 whenever he attacks the Vanguard, so he's a 28.
It only matters against Fuckmaster.
Which is the thing. Like, if there was no cross rides yet, it wouldn't even matter. They'd be the same card. But because it exists, it does matter. So yeah, that's this guy. Alright, I need your list soon because my phone's about to go. Following after that, I can talk a little bit more before we switch over phones here. Next card on the list is Formation Liberator Adel.
Perfect guard!
Which is, for some reason, Liberator's getting another friggin' perfect guard.
Because the last perfect guard got was set 10.
I'm gonna talk to you right now, guys.
I know, it's been marked for a while.
So happy. I've been using Mark since about 2 years now. And I need to change him out.
I still say Brawler should have got a perfect guard in this set.
Do you hate Mark?
I don't hate Mark, I'm just kind of using him.
Like, I still say Brawler should have got a perfect guard because they got the Quintet Wall last set, which was stupid. It should have been an Eradicator Quintet in 14 when Tempest Bolt came out, and then in 16, it should have been a Brawler perfect guard, so this way in 17, everything would be nice.
The card after his card was Menace Laser, which we already covered.
Yeah, and that's the perfect guard. After Menace Laser,
Perdition Dragon, Rampart Dragon.
we have Rampart Dragon, the fourth perfect guard for Kagero.
And the second best art. Still, I believe Rhino Cross
I've
has the
actually
best
seen
art.
this art.
Rampart Dragon's art, I like the most.
This is the absolute best art. I don't know what Brandon's trying to tell you.
This art's good.
I like Bari. I'm one of the few who don't like Rhino Cross's art.
I hate Rhino Cross's art.
I would only play Rhino Cross if I was playing Steel Dragons. That's the only reason I play it, and I hate Maria's art.
I like Rhino Cross's art.
Maria's art has just never grown on me.
I don't know why people call her attractive. I don't see it.
Alright.
Like, I always use Bari. Bari's just been the stone since set 1. He's the OG. But now that Rampart, I hope they change his name to Rampage Dragon, just because Rampart sounds dumb.
Rampart Blaster!
I know Rampart's a word, it just isn't. But yeah, Rampart Dragon, you can now play 4 different perfect guards in Kagero decks. Make your opponent stay on their toes.
What is he playing? What are you playing? Damn it, it's another perfect shot. What is he playing?
But yeah, Kagero can do that. They can play 4 different draws, 4 different stands, 4 different crits, 4 different heals. The opponent's like, how many cards are you playing? Yeah, it's Rampart Dragon. It's real good. Obviously, it's a perfect guard. I think perfect guards are broken, but every clan has one, so it's even.
Right, next card. Ancient Dragon, Tyrannoquake. Before I get to his ability, I just want to read his flavor text.
Please, Quake!
Simple, boundless, pure violence. That is why it is terrifying.
Yeah, Tyrannoquake's the nuts.
Activate Legion, Ancient Dragon, Tyranno Bite. I'll get to him in a minute.
No, you say Legion Mate first. Say Legion Mate first, so they understand how things go.
Alright, Tyranno Bite. It's a grade 2 Iguana Gourd. Like, that's all I gotta tell you. It is a grade 2 Iguana Gourd. 9k grade 2 Iguana Gourd.
What that means is that whenever it's retired, for any reason, whenever it leaves the rearguard circle, you can counterblast 1 as long as your Vanguard is in Legion.
Nope, not even in Legion.
Oh, that's right. As long as you have an Ancient Dragon Vanguard, bring him. You can call him to a rearguard spot.
Yep.
But it doesn't have to be the same rearguard spot. Just call him to a rearguard.
And this one, his in-Legion ability is during your battle phase. When your rearguard with the same name as a unit on your Vanguard circle is put into the drop zone, if this unit is in Legion, this unit gets power plus 5,000 and critical plus 1 until the end of the turn. This ability cannot be used for the rest of the turn. Also, as a non-Legion ability, choose one of your rearguards and retire it. When this unit attacks a Vanguard, you pay the cost. If you do, this unit gets power plus 5,000 in the battle. So when it attacks, you retire Tyranno by gain 10k and a crit for a counterblast 1, essentially.
Yeah, this card's the nuts. It's basically Tyranno Legend, but his effect is changed basically to counterblast 1.
Yeah.
Instead of retire 3 units.
That's all we really got to talk about with him.
Like, the card is just really good. It's exactly what Ancient Dragons needed to be playable again.
Mike hates it for some reason. It's so
It's really strong. The way they changed its cost, and on top of that, in this set, Ancient Dragons got a
it's Quintet Wall.
No, Soul Blast 2 on Flip 2 is a promo.
Is it?
Yeah, it's a promo.
Okay, as a promo, they got Eliminate Clone, which is Soul Blast 2 on Flip 2, which means this guy just retires for days. And if you don't want the Eliminate Clone there, you can just eat it with one of the other many cards they have. And they gain plus 5. It's just they made him better. Like, Tachikazes are still like one of the worst clans, or one of the not as good clans.
They're tier 2. They're
middle of the pack. It's like they're not good, they're not bad, but this definitely boosted them from where they were prior to Legions. That's for sure.
Right. Next card on the list: Ancient Dragon Rockmine. Quintet Wall for Ancient Dragons.
What are they going?
Yep. Which is good for them because they're one of the few clans that actually needed a Quintet Wall when their perfect guard wasn't $1 million.
Mike.
It's actually not that hard.
Yeah. And it fit too because, like I said, Tachikaze's perfect guard is not like $1 million, so it's like kind of cool.
Next card.
Paris Wall's only like what, $3?
$3-4.
Next card, Ionization Starvader Hafnium.
So I heard you guys like Nebula Lord. We made him cheaper and better.
Legion 20,000. Legion's with raid on 12k attacker. When this unit attacks a Vanguard, it's usually a Legion. Choose one of your separate units for each of your opponent's locked cards. Those cards get power plus 5,000 to the end of turn. And has out of Legion ability of Counterblast 2. Choose one of your opponent's rear guards in the back row and lock it.
It's so stupid how it's Counterblast 2 lock up back. It's so stupid how it's Counterblast 2 lock 1 in the back.
It's because you can use it more than once a turn.
Okay. But all the other ones are Counterblast 2 lock 3.
Okay, this guy is
so discard lock 2. It's like, it's so stupid how just locking a back row is Counterblast 2. But if you want to triangle lock them, it's Counterblast 2.
Next card.
It's so dumb.
Yeah, let's go to the next card. It's not that good of a card.
Yeah, this card will never be played just because Garnet Star exists in the trial deck.
Next card, Starvader, Rejection Dragon, Windjar with Quintet Wall.
Didn't really need it.
I still say they should not have gotten a Quintet Wall. The problem is though, it's like it doesn't even matter anymore. They're not going to play it because Imaginary Plane costs so much.
Alright, Spencer, here you go. We'll let you bitch for a bit. Young Pirate Noble, Pinot Noir.
Pinot Noir.
Legion 20,000, Pirate Belle, Pinoy Blank. Aside from her massive tatas, this card is trash.
Both these cards are trash. Bushy, why are these double rare? Why is
Aside from her massive tetas.
Why is this a double rare? This card's unplayable.
Hold on, let me talk about the Legion mate. Activation auto from the drop zone, Counterboss 1. When your Vanguard performs Legion, you may pay the cost. If you do, call this unit to rearguard circle. And you have Pinot Noir. Put 3 cards from the top of your deck into the drop zone. When this unit performs Legion, you may pay the cost. If you do, choose 1 card from your drop zone, call it to rearguard circle. And an out of Legion ability, you choose one of your rear guards and retire it. When this unit attacks a Vanguard, you may pay the cost. If you do, you get power plus 5,000 to the end of the turn.
Was it really necessary to put Cositus Reverse on a fucking Legion ability that can only use this effect once when it Legions? Everyone hated Cositus Reverse. And then you made it on Legion skill. On a card that will never see play.
At least Cositus Risk is better.
No! Oh yeah, Cositus Reverse gave it +3! For lock 1! Ah! This card is trash. Don't play it. I don't think it's good. It's really not. A lot of the Grand Blue cards in this set are just simply not playable.
Alright, the next 2 cards.
And the Legion Mate is also god-awful because it only activates when you perform Legion. There are many new cards in this set that allow you to put stuff from the deck to the drop, but you might want to get those from the drop because of using Pinot Noir's call ability. But the problem is that it doesn't work that way. That's the thing. Like, she can only be... Pignette Blanc can only be called when you perform Legion. If you mill a Pignette Blanc with Pignette Noir's effect, you cannot call her.
Because your Vanguard has already performed Legion.
Correct. If Pignette Blanc's effect was, during the turn your Vanguard performed Legion, you can combo one call this, it actually would have been a good combo. But they didn't. They fucked it up again to make Grand Blue not playable. It's a bad card. I hate that it comes SP. Great art on both of them. Like, but it's just bad. It's not as good as Night Snow and Night Mist.
Alright, the next 2 cards down the list are Reef Banshee, Grand Blue Quintet Wall, and Blue Storm Battle Princess Electra, Blue Storm Perfect Shield, fucking finally.
Yeah, Blue Storm finally got their Perfect Shield, which is something they absolutely
She
lacked.
looks exactly like CC for you fucking, C2 for your fucking Code Geass fans out there. I also like C2.
No, she doesn't.
Yes, she does.
Not really. She actually looks like a female version of Pashkal with long hair.
Yeah.
His twin sister. He got replaced by his hotter twin sister.
Regardless. It's good that Grand Blue finally got a Quintet Wall just because A, Quintet Walls actually kind of fit with Grand Blue.
Yeah.
And because Gushin is still like $20. And also, and it's good for Blue Storm because Maelstrom Reverse really wanted a Blue Storm Perfect Shield. So now that deck is actually a little more playable. And that kind of concludes it for the double rares. What's our time at?
15. I'll keep an eye on it.
That kind of concludes us for the double rares. Now it's just mainly big time rares.
Should we go over Lawful Trumpeter and stuff like that?
I already did. Like it's mainly just the Legions now that you have to go over for the
Perdition Dragon, Magma Armor Dragon.
Ancient Dragon.
Ancient Dragon.
Ancient-
I wish it was a Perdition Dragon. No, I don't. That card would be terrible. Perdition Dragons.
Ancient Dragon, Magma Armor Dragon. It's a rare, and Legions with Ancient Dragon Knight Armor, which is actually a really good card.
Knight Armor is pretty much the Stones. Knight Armor, in case you don't know, if you know what the card Dino,
right now.
if you know what the card Dino Crowd is,
Choose one of your rear guards with Ancient Dragon in its name and retire it. When this unit attacks a Vanguard, if your Vanguard is in Legion, you would pay the cost. If you do, until the end of that battle, this unit gets power plus 5,000 and the ability of when an attack hits. When an attack hits, not just hits a Vanguard, when an attack hits, choose a card from your damage zone, turn it face up. When it hits anything, it turns the card face up.
Right, it's basically Dino Crowd that can only be used in Legion, but as an additional cost, it becomes a damage on flipper whenever it hits, which is pretty sweet. Which follows its effect into Battle Armor.
Magma Armor.
Magma Armor.
Counter Blast 1 and Soul Blast 1. During your battle phase, when your rear guard is put into the drop zone, if this unit is in Legion, you will pay the cost. If you do, call that card to an open rear guard circle.
Basically, if your opponent can't hit triggers, you can do this as long as you have stuff to do.
And against 3K, when it attacks, you have another unit center column.
Yeah. Like, the big thing you do is you go Knight Armor with Magma Armor. You go, alright, attack 14, eat this. 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 Like, it gets kind of dumb. As long as you have the ability to pay for the cost, you have not unlimited, but a lot of attacks that your opponent has to try and guard. And do the Grand Blue one next.
Witch Doctor of the Dead Sea Negrable. Card flavor text, I like it. 'Tis not starvation. It is thy release from the curse of life. I just like that sort of flavor text. Legions with Ghoul Dragon. Dragon Undead Ghoul Dragon, excuse me. Fucking fucking psychedelic card.
Gold Dragon makes me upset. I hate that they
When
made a
this unit is
lead.
placed on rear guard from your drop zone, this unit gets auto rear guard circle. When this unit attack hits a Vanguard, choose one of your opponent's rear guards and retire it.
I hate Gold Dragon. In Legion, anyway. I hate that they made a Legion mate that sucks in Legion decks. And read what Necrobolt does.
Necrobolt, counter plus 1, choose one of your rear guards and retire it. When this unit attacks a Vanguard, if the unit isn't Legion, you would pay the cost. If you do, call one card from your drop. Choose one card from your drop zone, call it to a rear guard circle. And it gains 3K when it attacks a Vanguard.
Sound familiar? So here's the problem I have with this card. Necrobolt should have gave whatever it called plus 3. Then it would have been a lot more playable. Because it would have made Ghoul Dragon not a blank. Like, Ghoul Dragon, it only gets its effect when it's called from the drop, which is whenever it hits the Vanguard, you can retire something. Here's the problem, though. It's a 9K. What Vanguard is it hitting? It doesn't hit anything.
You hit Shock.
Shut up. Like, it doesn't hit anything. Like, the best way to use Ghoul Dragon is in non-Legion decks. Because it doesn't require a Legion. You want to bring this thing out with Night Mist with a big booster, or with Night Snow to make it a 21 column. In a Legion deck, he just doesn't do anything. And Necrobolt, like this guy, like people keep saying, this guy gave plus 1,000 because it's calling random. Or plus 10 because it calls random. Whatever it calls has the ability to attack the Vanguard. Necrobolt's not the case, which is what the problem is. If Necrobolt gave whatever it called plus 3, it would be infinitely better. It would make a Corrode Dragon only a 15. Like, nothing would have the ability to 10k require a Vanguard attack. That's why I think plus 3 would be fair. Even with Rune Shade, even with a Greed 3, the max you're hitting with whatever you revive is 15. So it still doesn't do that much, but at least it has the ability to force a guard. Which is what it needed.
Call Corrupt Dragon.
Okay, but the whole point is calling Ghoul Dragons, because that's the whole reason why they made his effect the way they did. If Ghoul Dragon could hit anything and then retire a rear guard whenever it hit, that would be different. Because then you can attack a rear guard and then kill something in the back. Like, that's the thing it needed. Like, as it stands right now, the 2 Grand Blue Legions are just terrible.
Grand Blue should get a card when something's called from the drop zone against plus 3.
Yes. Like, the 2 Grand Blue Legions are just terrible. The best Grand Blue deck right now is basically still Break Ride, Night Mist, and Night Snow, and just throw in 2 Ghoul Dragons.
And the Limit Break Enabler.
And the Limit Break Enabler. That's it. Like, no, not even. You still want to you don't even play those. There's no room. The grade 1s are stocked. Because you want to play 2 Swans.
Stop looking at me, Swan.
Yeah. And then the last big rare set, which Mike is going to bitch thoroughly about.
Blue Storm Marine General Zaharias, Legions with Blue Storm Marine General Ionis.
I got nothing to say about this card. I don't sweat this thing.
When this unit attack hits a Vanguard, if it's the 3rd battle of that turn or more, draw a card, that's Legion Mate. Counter plus 1. When this unit's drive check reveals a unit with the same name as a unit on your Vanguard circle, if this unit isn't Legion, you would pay the cost. If you do, choose up to 2 of your rear guards, stand them, and those units get power plus 5,000 in turn. Also has a secondary ability of Counterblast 1 to gain 2,000 power until the end of turn. I'll talk about this card. I fucking love this man. This is a rare Legion that is probably better than most of the triple and double rare Legions in this set. Like, it is the fucking goods.
It is not better than a single triple in this set. I'm sorry.
It's on par with a lot of them. It's a very powerful Legion.
Okay, fine. It's
as good as Dark
Coil.
Zodiac.
It's as good as Coil and Dark Zodiac.
Dark Zodiac's trash.
Both of them as good as Coil.
Coil's a good card. It's just not going to see play because of the balance card.
I thought you were gonna bitch about it.
Oh, you're done?
Yeah.
This motherfucker right here. Go on. Okay, it's not enough for them to have basically no cost as it is. When you judge a Vanguard, which you now have 2, you count as 1, stand 2 units, and they both have to gain 5k.
By the way, you play stand triggers in Grand Blue now, or in Aqua Force now. It's over.
What was I saying, Grand Blue?
Yeah, you don't play crits in this deck anymore. You play Rainbow now. You still play your 4.
The 4.
I like how Grand Blue. I like how Aqua Force did not get a stand.
Because they already have one.
Right, because they have one you play 16 of.
Yeah, I know. Mass Protection Cycle.
Yeah, no, fucking true.
They should have got a better stand. You know they should have got one send to the soul, I flip again.
I would.
Send it to the soul, draw a card.
His mate is a better Algos, which also pisses me off. It's attack, attack, attack. Oh, did I draw check 1? Okay, stand this column. I'll let it hit for 26, and I draw a card if it does. And then if you drop check on Vanguard, it's usually a mate or a Legion. So if you drop check the Legion, run it on Vanguard, drop check the mate, call to a rear guard. Must be nice.
You know, I'm surprised Aqua Force didn't get a new Valeria that only needed a third.
They didn't get.
A new Valeria, they only needed a 3rd attack.
You know, I'm surprised they didn't get max speed pull.
That's
I have a problem with you Aqua Force players.
That's because
I'm the only one that says this purely because it pisses you off. Okay.
if Aqua Force got a max beat clone, it would be the most disgusting thing on the planet.
Exactly. That's why I want
let's
it.
Let's make that real apparent.
That's why I want it.
No one would say it's a good thing. Other than that, I can't think of any other big rares. There's a couple new starters that people might want to talk about.
Robin Knight, but he's really not needed.
The only really good new starter they showed was Robin Knight, which is really only for Dark Zodiac decks. However, it requires Legion, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it's only really good for Dark Zodiac. Its effect is whenever your opponent has a locked unit, you can send it to the soul to lock a front and a back. So for Dark Zodiac, it basically, what Dark Zodiac, what a lot of people think its ability is going to be, playability is going to rely in, is being the catalyst that now speeds up Glendios to the max. Because with the new starter, you can basically play Dark Zodiac, lock everything real quickly because of cards like Photon, the starter, his own effect, and then catalyze him on Omega lock everything. And then next turn, you can just ride a Glendios and keep Omega locking things. I don't know how the deck's going to work just because it requires so many grade 3s now. But I'm sure people will find some way to make it work. We'll see what happens when tournament results come in. But people have good hopes in hoping this thing becomes Glendios' best friend because it can lock way faster than it can and Omega lock way cheaper than it can. And if you're at 5 damage, it's going to be a way that self-damagers, do you need to return something? Is it a must?
Yes.
Okay. Then you can put one back. I'll put myself to 5k Omega lock. Something.
I forgot they got a self-damager.
Or Blink Joker? They have self-damager.
Yeah, no, I forgot they had one. But it's not a sword.
Alright, well, that's everything.
Other than that, there's a couple other commons. Every clan in this set got a Limit Break Enabler card. All of them are old archetypes from different sets. Aqua Force is Blue Storm. The Murakami one is Eradicator. You have one for Jewel Knight, one for Seal Dragon,
And one for Liberator.
one for Liberator,
One for Starvader.
one for Starvader, one for Ancient Dragon, and of course the Grand Blue one is completely generic.
Grand Blue. That's the best thing about Grand Blue is though they don't have a summon.
All of them, I hate that actually. I wish
I
they
like
did.
it. No,
But
it
it also makes their cards so expensive.
All of them,
Cost-wise.
all of them have the ability that all of your Limit Break abilities activate, even if you have 3 or less damage, which includes Break Rides. If you have that unit on rear guard and you Break Ride, the Break Ride will still activate. Obviously, this doesn't work for Ultimate Breaks because it specifically talks about Limit Break 4s, not Limit Break 5s. So you can't Glendios Like, that's the one thing people talk about Glendios, why it might not work the way it does, because if it activated Limit Break 5s, obviously Glendios would be disgusting.
It's a different symbol.
Right. It does say specifically Limit Break 4. Each clan got a new stand trigger, except for Aquaforce and Murakami, because Aquaforce got theirs in BT13.
They trying to get one?
Huh?
Yeah. It's in a one.
Oh, okay.
And Murakami got theirs last set. Oh, and Royal Palace, they got theirs last set. Liberators got Ketchkal Liberator, which is a stand trigger that whenever it's called from the deck to the whenever it's called from the deck to the rear guard, you can send it to the bottom of the deck, check top 3, call 1, and then put them on the bottom shuffle. Tachikaze's got a
Do not call another catch.
Yeah, you're not calling it a Ketchkal. Tachikaze's got a stand trigger that's basically an Iguana Gourd. The problem with this card is that even though the effect is really good, Tachikaze will never, ever, ever play stands. Because they're not worth it. Because also they have a new Ancient Dragon crit trigger, so they don't have to rely on Black Tiger anymore.
Well, Black Tiger's so good because it goes back to the deck.
Yeah. But still. It doesn't matter though, it's Legions.
That's true. That's why you don't need it anymore.
Yeah. Grand Blue's new stand trigger is Wandering Underwater Spirit, or no, Dead Sea Spirit Bard, which is effective whenever it's called to rear guard. You can search the top 10 cards of your deck, take one of those cards, send it to the drop, and put the rest of them on top and shuffle
I
your
don't
deck.
know if I would use that or if I would still use
Use Stearman.
You play them both. You play 4 Stearman, 2 of him, because you don't want to play them that much. Like for Nightmesh, you want to play Stearman, get something good like a Ghoul Dragon, then immediately counterblast 1 for Night Snow, kill it, and call it a Ghoul Dragon or something.
Alright.
It's just good utility, that's all it really is. Starvader stand trigger is a Palladium clone.
Yep.
Which is dumb. Royal Paladin does not get one in the set.
No. They got theirs last set.
And Kagura's stand trigger is the trash. It's a 7k attacker.
Oh, yeah. It's
Like-
a tradition 7k attacker.
I thought it gained power whenever you retired something, but no, it's a stupid friggin' 7k attacker for a stand trigger. That's
Stark Wind Clone.
that is so
Starker Wind Clone.
that is so trash. Other than that, there's no really any other comment or anything big in the set.
Bum,
So
bum, 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 bum.
yeah, BT17 is really hot. It's the first set that is not something immediately broken in the set. Almost every set, even going back to set 1, you can point out one card that says, yeah, that's going to be top of the meta.
I can still point that out.
But in this set, there really isn't, as much as Mike hates Knuckle Buster, because a lot of decks are actually playing against Knuckle Buster fairly well. Prominence Core is doing well against it. Link Joker's doing well against it. There's some promo decks that are playing well against it, but we'll get to those when we talk about promo cards that they showed for Monthly Bushy, including a lot of the new Legions. And you will hear a lot from me about that, because we're bitching about how bad the Angel Feather Legion is.
Yeah.
I have tried to play this card as much as I could, trying to make it work. It just will not work. It does nothing. The
You have to
Legion.
use Arakiel with it.
You did.
I did. It still did nothing. I lost the Drag Ruler.
Drag Rulers to stones.
Well,
Alright, guys. We're done here.
the set is just really good. There's nothing overly broken. It's the first set where there's like not a It's the first set where there's not a restander or a card that negates shields in recent
Or
memory.
an egregiously broken Link Joker card.
Yeah, it's like, imagine replaying as much as I give it shit, it's not as broken as I initially thought it was. You can still play around it, because what made a Link Joker so broken was Glendios being stupid and Chaos Breaker trolling you cards.
Killing the units.
These ones don't. They're a little more costly finally.
And they just keep you locked. That's all it is.
Yeah, and they just keep you locked. You don't really lose anything.
See, I don't have a
finally.
problem with this Link Joker. This is a perfectly fine Link Joker.
Imagine replaying
This
shit.
is not a perfectly fun Narcomi.
No, not really. But before, let's end it here, guys.
the
Thank you for
set-
watching. Spencer, shut up.
The set is already sold out in Japan. Like, we're doing this the day it was released. In 18 hours, Japan reported that BT17 is completely sold out. Like, this set's going to be amazing. The prices are very weird how they are in
There's a
Japan right
promo
now.
out.
Because there's so much product out that there's so much supply and demand, the prices are actually down. I have no idea what they're going to cost.
They're going to start going up now. Now that
I
they're
have no idea what they're going to cost when they come to the States. Like, it's going to be ridiculous.
they're actually going to start going up now because the supply,
Yeah.
the demand is so high, the supply is so low now.
It's going to be ridiculous. Oh, there's one more card I was going to go over. Grand Blue got a new crit trigger. It could be the greatest art created.
Jimmy the Ghosty!
Jimmy the Ghosty.
Jimmy the Ghosty!
It's a yellow ghosty with an aviator cap and aviator goggles on his head, sticking out of a cannon.
Hell yeah!
This man is the Stones.
Can I get
Samurai
50
Spirit.
Jimmy the Ghosties to make a deck of him?
Night Spirit can finally go away. Ghoul Cannonball is now trash. You play 4 Rough Sea Banshees, and this This guy is the Stones.
Give me the ghosty.
Give me the Ghosty's awesome.
All right, we're
Other than that, that's basically it. So
All
we'll
right,
leave you
we're
out with
done.
Brandon.
Look up Jimmy the Ghosty. It is amazing. Thank you guys for watching. Remember to like, comment, subscribe. Follow us on Twitter. Like our Facebook page. Subscribe to our channel like I just told you. Do it. Don't be gay. See you guys later.